Yeah, yes, of course, if the opportunity ever would such arise. He said, Andy, when it's my close-up, do you mind not acting because you're putting me off? All this is just joyful.
Andy, good to see you. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Good.
I feel like we can't do these kind of films without you in them now, because you're taking the leap from Marvel now to DC. You've done everything in between, from Lord of the Rings to Planet of the Apes. Did you, when you started out in your career, see it going in this direction and, you know, moving through all these fictional worlds?
Certainly not. I mean, I started out doing theatre, you know, being so grateful for getting my equity card when I started out at the age of 18, no, 21 actually, at the Duke's Playhouse in Lancaster, and you know, all this is just joyful, really. To get these experiences is quite remarkable. So I never lose track of that.
Oh, we know that we're going to get a solid performance when you're in a role. And playing Alfred, who is, you know, next to Batman, such an iconic part of the franchise. What does it mean to you, knowing all the people who have played Alfred before, you now stepping into those shoes? What does it mean to you?
I mean, look, you know, Michael Caine, Michael Gough, Jeremy Irons, it goes on, the list goes on. But when you take on a role like this, you almost have to put it out of your mind, because especially with the interpretation that we have in this film, which is written so specifically by Matt Reeves, and the way that when he talked to me about it when I first took the role, it was you know, a very different. It's basically defined by where Batman's at, actually, and the fact that this is year 2 and that it's not a fully formed Batman, that he is on this kind of journey and that is pulling away from Alfred. So really, what defines this particular role is the tension between Bruce and Alfred, and Alfred as a mentor figure knows that ultimately he'll never be able to fulfill the role of being a father figure, and that's the sort of the tragedy and the tension in their relationship in many ways.
Yeah, it's nice actually to see a different side of Alfred in that way. See him in a different way to what we have previously. But like we said, there are so many people who have played Alfred before. For you, looking back on all those people, who is the one who really sticks with you? So I think for me, it's probably Michael Caine.
Well, you know, I've worked with Michael and on numerous occasions, and I'm a huge fan of his. And he actually, I'll tell you a story about Michael. He said to me once when we were acting opposite each other, he said, Andy, when it's my close-up, do you mind not acting because you're putting me off? And I mean, that for me, I will never forget. And only in that, you know, he's like, because he used to do those master classes and very much, you know, his view was, when it's your close-up, it's your close-up, and you're not necessarily acting with the other person, you know. But anyway, I loved his Alfred.
He's amazing. But you have also established yourself now as a director. You've done a comic book film yourself. So with this whole new era of Batman, could you potentially, or is it something you would like to do, is maybe a sequel, direct a Batman film down the line?
Who wouldn't? I mean, it's such an extraordinary world, and what you know, this version has done is set up an extremely kind of you know, the Gotham in this world I find very exciting, and it's so mythic, but at the same time it feels very real and tangible, and Matt and James Chinlin, the production designer, and Dylan, the producer, you know, that they've landed, I think, in a very interesting area with the tone of this film, because they're you know, it is bleak, it's dark, it's post-truth, it's you know, corrupt, but at the same time it still feels mythic, as I say. So it yeah, yes, of course, if the opportunity ever would such arise.